Welcome to the Fertility Mind podcast. I am your host, Jessica Friesen, a certified fertility mindset coach, a sound healer, and an international best-selling author. My mission for this podcast is to give you weekly episodes where you hear my own success with IVF and how mindset and manifestation changed it all for me. You will also hear from my guests who share their success stories in the fertility world. I want you to know that you are not alone. Even when things feel tough and when things feel like they aren't going your way, the tools and techniques you will get in this podcast, I know can change everything for you too. So thanks for being here with me today, and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back, listeners. Today I have a guest with me, Perry Tinsley. He is a fellow coach, and I am so excited to have him here because today we are talking all about mindset and manifestation. So Perry, give yourself an introduction.
Hey. Good to be on this show. Thanks so much, Jessica. Oh gosh, an introduction. I call myself, I give myself, when I'm doing an introduction, I'm giving myself a title here, aren't I? But I am a husband, a big time animal lover. And I've been podcasting for, is it 17 years now?
Wow.
So, and what I love doing is help people. I help people, especially people who consider themselves busy professionals, to transform in mindset and fitness. I do that, but I also mentor people in the areas of podcasting as well. So I wear a few different hats, but if I were to pare it down, I would say I'm a teacher, and I help people influence decision making that they maybe hadn't considered before, just based on my experiences or experiences that I've been in with different groups, like the group you and I have been in. So, yeah, I bet I need to refine that a little bit on my introduction, but that's what comes to mind at the moment here. So glad to be on here.
I think it's amazing because we all wear many hats. So, Perry, I guess I would ask you, how has mindset and manifestation kind of transformed your life? Or how did you stumble upon mindset and manifestation and start to do and apply, I guess, tools and techniques?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've got like 15 hours for this podcast show, right?
Absolutely.
because that's how deep this topic goes. Because I look at it now, and I think when it comes to manifestation, it's probably in recent years that I realize that I'm always manifesting. A lot of times it was things I didn't want, but I brought about things that I did want, and that not really realized how I did it or why I did it, and how things came to fruition. So I'm going to share with you a little exercise that I did a few years back, and it really brought some clarity to me on patterns that I've noticed in my life, and then how I was able to shift and pivot forward. Is that okay?
Absolutely, yes.
So one of the things, I was in a business training group, and one of the ladies that was running this group, she had us journal, get up 15 minutes early and just do this journaling. And she just posed a really simple question, which I almost dismissed, and I'm glad I didn't. But she said, I just want you to journal each day. What is it that you know, and how did you come to know that? And I'm like, okay. And so you can really start on some really shallow surface level sort of things. Well, how did I do this? So I started dialing in and started thinking, well, let me go back. Should I go back to childhood? You can really overthink these sort of things too, and then sit with a blank page for a while. But once I started writing and going back, I started writing on how how I made the decision, what was my mindset and what were the things I did in high school and what were some achievements and what were some setbacks. And then I did the same thing. I decided to go to college. I shouldn't have gone to college because I was literally a C- student, had no direction. I just knew where I didn't want to go. And a lot of times that's where a lot of people are with their thinking. Well, I know what I don't want. And that's what we get what we focus on. And so when we focus on what we don't want. But I use that to almost be like the repelling side of a magnet and saying, you know what? I know I don't want to go there. So I'm going to go the opposite. I don't know where that's going to lead me. I just know that that's not what I desire in my life. Now, I probably wasn't using those words, desire and what I don't want. I just felt it. So as I started journaling got into college, and, I kind of went with a little conformity sort of thing. It's like, well, everybody does college is really great on accounting. I guess I should be an accountant. I went in undecided. Everybody else being an accountant, never took any accounting thing in high school. Went in 2 weeks. I realized I am not going to be an accountant. But then I was stuck. And it's really interesting how certain things, and I realized this through my journaling process, how I made the decision to go in and become a special ed teacher, which my mom and dad, I think my mom and dad probably have had stitches in their jaw or in their chins so many times because I think their jaws have just dropped every time I shared with them what it is that I'm going to do. But the thing is, when I do it typically I'll see it through. And so I went in and decided to be a teacher, the C- student who was put on probation his first year of college. You're going to do what? So as I'm journaling all that thinking, all the decision making, things that transpired, how I decided to get 4 degrees in special education, how I decided to become a teacher. And then I was going through this journey, and even digging into, I was a 2-pack a day smoker, but now I coach people in health and fitness. Where did that happen? So I'm getting all this journey down, and it was not just to get it out of my head and write my memoir and have somebody publish a book one day. It was, I see patterns. And I could see where decisions were being made, a general interest, digging into stuff, and then a transition moment happening. It was kind of like I was already planning for whatever that next phase was in my life, but I did not know that was it. And so it would seem like, well, gosh, that's pretty intuitive. That's pretty insightful. And I can't say one way or another how this ever happens, but I would manifest literally these moments where it's like, of course I'm ready for this next step. When it was time to say, I'm going to leave teaching and get into some technology things, or I'm going to start a podcast, or I'm going to take care of my wellness, the decision making was different. And so that was a big awareness, first of all, that exercise. And I almost resisted it, which, that there's a lot of things in our lives that come up, and because of old thinking, old patterns, we dismiss, choose to not pay attention to, we either avoid, and these could be the very things that take us to new levels, or at least open opportunities that, if we're paying attention and really being radically honest with ourselves on certain things. So that was a big gateway for me, was just that realization that I had been doing some things. And now that I know that, where can I go next, and leveraging that. So, I can talk about a few manifestation moments here, even before, because you and I, we were part of a group, and it's really interesting how I started working with Kathleen Cameron's group. Just some of the things that were happening as a transition moment up until that point. But now it's kind of like, wow, and then even getting into some about Proctor's content and then a lot of the people that are in our community. I've met some amazing people that has me just super excited and super focused about things going forward. So I know that wasn't it was a specific thing, but I know I really didn't talk about a manifestation moment, but that was a moment that brought about some awareness of things that I've manifested. You want to talk about any specific ones? Because I've got like 4 or 5 of them I could share.
Sure. Anything, because the whole point of what I like to share with my listeners is really, I just like to let them understand manifestation can be you're manifesting your baby or your desired family. It can be manifesting your dream home, a car, your dream job, or even after what you want your life to look like when your family has arrived, however that may be. Because like you said at the beginning, we are always manifesting, and choosing to understand that awareness of that we are always manifesting, that we can choose our thoughts. We can, fears and things will always still pop up in contrast, but how we can bounce back faster or flip our perspective and start focusing on the things that we want. And then you can start to see your manifestations, or even for some people that have not even thought about the things that they want because they just thought like it's eat, sleep, repeat. And I'm just supposed to get up as long as I pay my bills and I do this, then, I'm better than some other people that are really struggling. And you think, okay, but, I'm going to go on a little tangent for a second. But the first time someone said to me, like, we are all meant to have a desired life and live like your best life, I thought, but I don't have money to do that. So what do you mean I'm supposed to be living my best life? And thought, I'm healthy, I can pay my bills. So it's not bad by any means. And I still have lots of laughs and joy in my life. But then, when we really started focusing on goals and desires and dreams, I thought my world opened up in a very different way. And, I started understanding that you can manifest things, and that it's not to feel guilty to want to have things, because especially sometimes in the state of the world, wherever you live, if there's, different economies, and I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but you just start to think, I'm better off than someone else, so I shouldn't need this and I shouldn't want that. And one of the things that Kathleen had said, like, growing her multi-million-dollar business during the pandemic, she struggled a little bit mentally thinking, I'm making a lot of money where people are losing their jobs and doing this. And, she mentioned reading the book Happier Than God, or it was You Too Can Be Prosperous by Robert Russell. Both of them are amazing books. But it made me start thinking that, what, we are all allowed to have the lives that we want to have, and whatever it is that you're manifesting. And that's why I think it's important to showcase different guests that talk about things that they've manifested and how manifesting came into their life, or how they just became aware that we can manifest things. Because sometimes I feel like the word manifesting is still woo-woo with people, because they're just like, no, we don't manifest. That's just, we don't do that. I'm thinking, no, you're still manifesting right now. So
Wow.
anyway, I went on a little tangent, but you tell us about your manifestations and things like that.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them. And so, I've got one where I manifested a wife. Okay. And this was after I lost my first wife. And then I have another one where more mindset sort of things with my transformation, with making actually staying committed to health and fitness and making that transformation that moment, because I'd approached it a very different way than I'm on this thing, I'm off this thing, I'm on this thing, I'm off this thing, and that sort of thing. Which one would you like me to start with?
Let's start with Hillary.
Yeah, let's start with Hillary.
I love her.
Right. Yeah, it's really, I do too. It's really interesting how this came about. So I'm going to backtrack to a very traumatic moment. Actually, 20-year anniversary is going on right now, where I was married to a wonderful lady named Terry. We had our own home businesses. We're doing web design, and we're doing videography, also running a German Shepherd rescue. And we were both teachers, and I had an hour drive back and forth. And interesting thing that Terry had always compared to when there was a very difficult, challenging thing in life that she didn't want to do, she would always say, I'd rather have a root canal. That was her thing. I've had a root canal, and I'm like, well, it wasn't that bad. but I think it was just the idea. So the interesting thing is December 9th, 2003, I was going to work, and she had to go and have a root canal that day. She was going to the dentist. Now, every time she had gone to the dentist previously, she was one that was totally stressed out, needed hand holding, wanted me to take her there, etc. She just wanted to zone out, didn't want to think about it. That day, I got my face filled with shaving cream, and she looks at me and just goes, well, I got to go. And I totally had forgotten because she was having it done on Monday morning, and I totally had forgotten. It was the weekend and all that stuff. We just had a blast throughout the weekend. We'd done pet photography. We did like a fundraiser with like Santa paws for dogs or something. We did a fundraiser for our rescue, and it was a real big hit. So no, this was like on a Tuesday that she was going. So I'm like, oh, that's right, root canal today. I'm like, okay, good luck, because I had a very scheduled day. I got to work, went to work, came back home, pulled up, and opened the garage door. And my neighbor was walking back toward her house, and then saw me pull in, and she pivoted and came back. And I pulled up, and she says, "Oh, can I use your phone?" I thought, well, that's odd. I'm like, yeah, sure, come on up. I had to let the new puppies out because we had just taken in 5 new puppies into our rescue. And so I get done letting them in. I come, and there's a ring at the doorbell. And I asked Mabel, I'm like, is everything okay? And she's like, well, and she just kind of didn't say. A guy comes to the door, introduces himself as the county coroner, and let me know that Terry was killed earlier that afternoon in a car crash. Now, instant upside down flip to your world. And so I can already feel it, kind of that shock moment right now going through my body. It's just like, what's next? What now? Whoa, And so all the things go through, and this could even transition into my mindset stuff for the fitness stuff, but I'll just leapfrog. So over the years, I used exercise to get through the grief, because I was looking at things like, what can I control when life seems so out of control? I was not really working on mindset stuff at the time, but I was getting into personal development stuff. And I had the mindset that I just wrote December off the calendar. Nope, December doesn't exist. My year is an 11-month calendar, And so I went through, I didn't decorate anything with Christmas stuff, whatever. So in years going on, so this is 2003, maybe 2007, 2008, I tried to dip my toe into the dating scene, probably because maybe somebody encouraged me to do it. It scared me to no end. It was just like, just let me scratch my fingers down the chalkboard all day long, and I'll feel a lot better doing that. It just, just seemed very, very uncomfortable. 2009 comes now. No, not 2009. Somewhere in 2007, 2008, and I'm sure wine was involved. I am like shouting to, I don't know if I was shouting to Terry. I don't know if I was shouting to God. I don't know if I was shouting to the universe. I have no idea. I just knew I was ticked, and I can probably use some expletives that go along with it. And I was just like shouting, like, you owe me. Dogs are probably freaking out because I'm on a rant. I'm like, you owe me. There's nobody, and I don't even know why I was going on the rant, because it was kind of like I was saying, there's nobody in this world that I'm going to be able to connect with as far as the partner. Now, the thing was, I'd already been working on being comfortable on my own. So I don't have no idea where this rant comes from. That's why I think wine was involved. It kind of lowers that little thing. And so I'm just shouting expletives, and I'm like, because this person would have to be, and I literally shouted out like a checklist of what would seem impossible for anybody to live up to. As a matter of fact, I think in months after that, I went to like eHarmony or Match or something. One of those dating sites where you've got to put in a survey that takes you like 10 years just to complete the survey. I mean, it's like page after page after page after page, and you're just like, I think you could get a job at Fort Knox easier with their application than this. So, and I get done with it, and there's no matches for like days. And I've only got this short little trial thing. So I reach out to their customer service and like, well, you kind of gotten restrictive on a lot of things. Maybe if you uncheck these boxes or check these certain boxes, I'm like, but that's not what I'm asking for. So I did that little tirade of, somebody that was really into technology, somebody that's into fitness, somebody that had, and somebody that wasn't filled with drama, because the dating scene in my mind meant drama, work, got to go through the things of figuring each other out, all this stuff. And I was at a point in my life, I'm like in my 40s now, and old programming is saying, you could just be content with life. So I kind of go on through the years. I canceled those subscriptions, got rid of dating things, and I just went on with, life, content in my own ways. 2009 comes along, and every year at the beginning of the year, sometime in January, I'll usually write down like 5 top goals that I would love to achieve by the end of the year. Most of them, happen. So I remember in like 2008 writing something down that was kind of like, I want to travel at will, because, after Terry had passed, I had started traveling a little bit with my parents and with some friends. And I really kind of liked it. But I didn't, it's like, well, I'd love to, just have the income to buy plane tickets whenever. Travel at will. That's the way I wrote it. I would love to travel at will. 2009, I write down on the refrigerator, go on 3 dates. Now, my neighbor, Mabel, she absolutely loves this one. And I think I still have this piece of paper somewhere around. She loves it because Perry was going to date again. Oh my gosh, he's going to go on a date. And so, a lot of people are happy for me, but it's not like I went on social media, and do we have, we had some social media, MySpace or something, but I didn't post anything out there. It's my own thing, right? Go on 3 dates. Maybe I'll give this eHarmony, Match.com a try again. 2 or maybe not even 2 weeks later, I get an email from a lady, and she had noticed my results. I ended up doing a fitness program that she was on a fitness forum that people were posting results from all these different things that they had done, and she remembered my story from years back, and she was thinking of doing that program. And so and she noticed, she went and got it. She went and bought it, but she kind of got a pirated copy off of eBay. Didn't get all the materials and things like that. So she was like, well, there's these people that help others. I wonder if Perry does that. I remember his name was Perry. So she Googles it. And I know Hillary would tell you, a much better story than I'm telling it. Every time I tell it, she always says, oh, you didn't tell it right. But I'm not the one. I wasn't taking her actions. I'm just going from my side. And so I get this email, great results, just have a few questions. And so we hop on a phone, we chat, and I'm like, yeah, this might be a better fit for you, and et cetera, based on our goals. And then, we're chatting back and forth via email and learning that, gosh, we're both, why do you live over in Boise? And just kind of getting to know somebody. Not in a dating aspect or anything like that, just getting to know somebody. It's, oh my gosh, about the same age, really both into, it was like, oh gosh, you're that old, and you're into heavy metal too. Well, that's kind of cool. Me too. With all this stuff. And so, you love to travel and all this stuff. Oh, you work for an airline. That's cool. And so just all these little things. Well, within like a 3-week time, we've been emailing each other like a few times a day now, and really getting to know each other. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I talk about possibly, going on a trip at some point. And so that sparked her curiosity. And she's like, well, because I can travel for free. And I'm like, she can travel at will. you know, that's interesting. So we end up deciding to meet each other, probably to her friend. Her friends were really ticked off at her because she just got up and flew to another city to meet some random guy she met online. So, you know what? That might not be the insight anybody wants to take away from here. We laugh about that now, but that can be a dangerous thing to do. And I went on 3 dates. And they were pretty amazing dates. Date one, she came here. If we call it a date, we were kind of meeting, but did some dating things. Then we did a trip, a couple trips. So what ended up happening, it wasn't until maybe middle of the year, I'm reading down my little list again. All 3 dates were with Hillary, and a year later, I proposed, and later that year we got married. And here's the thing, here's the kicker that I thought was really interesting. As I got to know Hillary and as we grew, it was like she ticked every check box. It's like if she was also on Match.com, she was probably the only one that would have shown up in my little feed there. And so while I wouldn't have called it I manifested a wife at the time, I find it really interesting that I throw out this rant to the universe. I didn't think about, I was unchained to the result. It's not like I went back and checked eHarmony. Nobody met that one. Nobody met that one. It's like, no, I just let that go. And the universe went to work. And then it really interesting that I marry somebody that has some airline perks that allows us to travel at will. So that's, and now it's been 13 years we've been married. So that is I manifested a wife story, manifestation moments with Perry. And I'm sure she would embellish it a lot more if she were sitting here on the podcast too. But that was just blew me away because wow, should I go on a rant more often? I don't know. Probably not, but
it works sometimes.
It does. It does. It was, so cool. And her parents and my parents met and they hit each other. They hit it off right away. It was like they met each other and then they didn't talk to us at all. Because we didn't exist. There's they're old buddies. And so just so many really cool things. We love doing all these experiences and things together and just love life. And we learn and grow, as much as possible. Yeah. So that's one moment.
Honestly, I love watching you guys on social media. I was telling Hillary the other morning when we were on our call, and I said to her, I was like, you just saw Foo Fighters. And she's like, yeah, we just decided we wanted to go. I'm like, that is so amazing. And then just all the trips and things that you guys do, I'm just like, they really do live life to the fullest. And yeah, Hillary's just like that. That's one of the things that we promised when we got together, that we were going to live every moment as much as we can and be spontaneous and just live. And I was like, that's incredible.
It's fun. It really is fun. We do things behind the scenes with, we're, building a career that we love. And so that's the other thing that we're always doing and being adventurous that way. But, and then helping and serving as many people as possible. But to have those moments and somebody that wants to do that, and some of the fun things that we get to capture and see and experience, and if we could share that with people, just to even bring a smile on their face, or at least to inspire people to say, think about this possibility, and give it a try. Because a lot of times we can get into our little hamster wheel life of the date, and there's something with the hamster wheel sort of thing, because you can count on it, is what to expect, but it doesn't always help with growth. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things that you can do and explore. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that just have big dreams that they just kind of set aside mainly because of either the way they were brought up and they're thinking, or just looking at external circumstances of this is the way life is supposed to be. And maybe I can transition into my little fitness, how I changed that way. Would that help?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So what ended up happening with the fitness stuff, which led, it was the fitness stuff that led for me finding Hillary. That's what it was. But it is interesting that it's connected. I was at a point where I was in this on again, on off again. I'm in this fitness thing. I've got to, this is my year. And then you don't get going, you're so bogged down in how am I going to do this? And it's really, you can really build yourself up where, particularly at the beginning of the year, where it's like, this is my year. By December, I'm down 30 pounds, or I'm in better shape. And so we sometimes set these soft, fluffy goals. And we're like, you know what? I saw a commercial for a gym. I'm signing up. They got a great deal. You go there and it's packed. And you kind of meander and guess your way around. And then sometimes it's just short lived. I was on a mastermind earlier today, and I love the way this lady put it. I'm actually doing this as a podcast episode this week. She says, we're constantly building half-built bridges. And I love that, because you've got this bridge, you want to get to the other side, and, and so it can get to other things, and you start building your bridge, and then you decide, you meet some resistance, meet some other things, then you go and build another one and build another one. Well, that was me with the exercise. And so this time around, I wanted to commit to like a 90-day plan. And I tell you the truth, I tried to start it a year prior, and I'm like, oh, they want you to work out 6 days a week. Come on. And so I was resistant to doing that. I'm like, maybe 3. And then it became 2, and then it became 1. And it was like, oh, I don't do anything. Year goes by, expanded waistline, more frustration. And all I want to do is lose the beer gut. I have no idea why. I just thought I'd feel better. I thought life would be so dramatic without a beer gut. So I made a couple of decisions at the beginning of this journey when I made the decision. First of all, I decided to make what I now call a committed decision. A lot of times we make up these things that we want to do. We're like, yes, I'm all in. And then we start to think of cracks and flaws on why it won't work, or we start to come up with escape hatches. And so that's where I was, instead of going, well, I'm on this thing and I'm going to see if it sticks, or I'm on this thing because I'm going for a vacation or a wedding or something. So, and then hopefully it'll stick afterwards. A lot of times I was in that cycle, and I said, what would it look like if I didn't stop? What would it look like if this is who I am now? I'm a person who shows up for exercise. I'm a person who shows up and is disciplined despite the circumstances around me. I just figure out a way no matter what. And so, and it's really easy because you get that self-talk in there, and you start to come up with, and you start to come up with as many scenarios as, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this? And that became a beautiful awareness for me. And I think awareness is a big part of it, because I realized, look at the stories you start telling yourself when you've decided to make this decision. You're looking for a way out. Your brain is, because you've gotten really good at quitting. You've gotten really good at getting yourself out of it. So of course you're going to try and use your talents. What if you didn't do this? So I love what James Clear says in Atomic Habits. I think he says it in that book. Maybe it's on his blog. In the beginning, it's more important to develop the habit than it is to see the results. And when you're talking health and fitness stuff, that's hard for many people, because you eat the salad, you're stepping on the scale to see if you drop 5 pounds. You worked out twice this week, you're stepping on the scale. Did I lose another 10? And you're constantly bogged down into result, as opposed to what's my goal. So I looked at it as like, and James Clear's content wasn't out when I started. This is a 20-year journey now. But I wanted to, my mindset was, I'm just going to pay attention to the journey. I'm just going to show up no matter what. Instead of me getting my hour drive home and sitting and relaxing and trying to get myself motivated, I'm removing that barrier, because I started looking at where are the barriers? Where are the ways that I'm getting myself stuck and wanting to use an excuse? And one of them was sitting down right after work. So I'm like, no more. Get home, let the dogs out, get workout clothes on, let the dogs in, work out. Boom. Extended work day. And then I can do my sit down and all this stuff. And so I started getting into that rinse and repeat. And it was humbling at first. I mean, 2 push-ups. And I'm like, oh my God, has it gotten that bad? I can only do 2 push-ups. Look at you. And I did. So, the self-talk, listen to you, pay attention to what you're saying. And so as I'm going through it and listening to these things, I'm like, you know what? My goal is just to run off 90 days and simplify things as much as possible, because I've been overcomplicating it. I put an X on the calendar. That was my tracking system. I did not step on a scale. I didn't measure. One line meant, did I show up for my workout? The other one, did I eat as healthy as possible? And I still hadn't dialed that one in, but it got better. So simple check-in system, pushing and pulling exercises. I had a no matter what plan for those days when I was busy. I'm committing to at least 15 minutes no matter what. And then I'll call it a day. And most of the time I get the 15 minutes, and then the rest of it would just kick in anyway. And then I watched. The 2 push-ups went to 4, went to 5, went to 6. The day I could do 10. Oh my gosh, amazing. X. I ran the whole 90 days. But here was the big shift. Not the big shift. There were tons of them. Another mindset shift. I wanted to get away from the diet mentality that I'm on this thing until I'm off this thing. So it was a 90-day plan. And I wanted to look at it and say, I don't want this to end at 90 days. This is 90 days to catapult things to moving forward even more. What's next? So I adopted this kind of, and I do this every 30 days. What's next? Not in a distraction sort of way, like, okay, I tried that, been there, done that, moving on to something else. What can I use with my knowledge? What can I use with my growth, my fitness, whatever, to take it to another level? Or do I continue and just do another round? Which is what I did, because I tried to take my foot off the gas and go into what people call maintenance mode sometimes with the fitness stuff. There is no maintenance mode. You don't get into eddy out and just sit there and do nothing. That does not work. You're going either in one direction or not. Maybe there's a recovery week, but that's it. And that's where I realized. And then it became where, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Rain Man, but it almost all of a sudden it became who I am. And I would have my, oh my gosh, it's 2 minutes to Wapner moment where I've got to go exercise. And now when I do this, I'm like, now where's the guy that was the 2-pack a day smoker that primary food group is pizza, drinking 12 bottles of Mountain Dew, and then we're talking big 2-liter bottles a week. Where's that person? Drinking water, eating salads, vegetables. My mom and dad, another chin drop moment. Hated vegetables all my life. Boom. They're getting stitches because Perry's eating vegetables. And so that is just the crazy thing. But it became, and I looked at many ways to improve it, because that's what one of the things that James Clear had said too. Once you've got the habits down, then there are so many ways to improve and enhance it. A lot of times people just don't get the habits down. Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes we do the self-talk where, oh gosh, I'm not into it. I'm unmotivated. I find it boring, all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm setting all of that aside, because my goal, it wasn't just to lose the beer gut. It became self-worth. It became self-love. It became dispelling the myth of it's too late in life for you because you're about to turn 40. This is the way life is supposed to be, and it's the way life is going to be, because I was in a bowling league 10 years prior, and I noticed everybody around had a beer belly, and a guy sitting next to me, and when I pointed out to him, he goes, oh, wait till you're 30. It'll happen to you. And it did. So I had enough proof to say, this is my roadmap. This is my blueprint. Now I'm seeing family members and coworkers all with health ailments because of unhealthy habits. Why don't I just follow that path? This is the way life is supposed to be. So I found myself on that journey questioning things of stories that were programmed through just not consciously, but it just been programmed over and over and over. This is the way life's supposed to be. This is, and it happens on the commercials. It happens in the news. It happens in the magazines, all this stuff. And I approached it and I'm like, I'm going to question that. I'm going to challenge that. And so that led into really getting some really great results, to where and my goal wasn't to be in a competition or anything, or be on stage for anything, bodybuilding or anything like that. It was to be in a healthy spot to where I could have the energy to do the things I want to do. And because a lot of us, we go around our life like we are a 6-year-old smartphone, 2% battery life, no charger in sight. And we know somebody might text or call and, oh my gosh, what could happen? And we scramble around and we hear that and we say, yeah, what, you want me to exercise? Are you kidding me? But that's the thing. Exercise and your mindset ritual, just that empowerment stuff, that is the charger that keeps you fueled. And I often ask my podcast listeners, what would your life look like if your mental and physical battery was running at 100% every single day? I mean, what could you accomplish? What would you do? Would parenting be different? Would your career be different? Would your relationships be different? Would your, the things that you want to accomplish? Mm-hmm. And so you start thinking about those things. And so that's just some of the things I started learning on the journey. And as I was journaling and I was reflecting back, when you asked me the other day, I want to talk about some mindset and manifestation moments. And I started reflecting back and I'm going, definitely that one stood out along with marrying Hillary, but so many others. But I think it was first of all, being radically honest, taking responsibility. That was one thing. A lot of times we all look for external validation or external reasons to get out of things, or rationalize. We don't call them excuses. We come up with a good rationalization why we shouldn't do anything. We will defend any limitation that we might have. And that was the other thing. When I first started, I had twisted my ankle the week before. And on my day one, I'm like, maybe I should recover. Maybe I should wait until the ankle's better. And then Easter was coming up at the end of that week. I'm like, oh, there's always all this food. And now I'm committing to eating good. So I'm like, maybe I should start after Easter. And there was a big aha moment, a beautiful awareness that it might not sound like a big thing to the listeners out there, but it was a big awareness to me because there was a perfect opportunity for me to procrastinate again. Because I don't know what my mindset would have been like after that. So I said, I'm using the power of now, because that wasn't, I tried the other way. What if you just did it now? Okay, the bottom is broken. Let's work the top, or let's modify. And so, and that sort of talk and that sort of behavior was not me moving forward. And now opportunities. So me getting in shape has not only led me, it improved my career, brought about other opportunities. Now I'm coaching people in the mindset and fitness and health space. I started a podcast about it. And now I'm coaching, mentoring people in the podcasting space. I've got an amazing wife. We love to do things. So really paying attention, taking responsibility and getting radically honest with where you are and where you want to go. Maybe you can identify where you don't want to go, but I wouldn't focus there. But that's kind of one part of my journey, or a couple of parts.
Perry, I wish people could see, because my podcast, I just do audio. I don't do the video, but how much my cheeks hurt because I have nonstop smiling through this whole thing. But we have so many similarities. I was in a long-term relationship. I've never shared this. I was in a long-term relationship. And we were living together when I was in college, and his mom had suddenly passed away in my third year of school, my graduating year. And so we moved back home after I graduated, and like my life completely, his life, because he just lost his mom and that was his big family. And we were dating, we were in a serious relationship. Our worlds completely turned upside down. And I had this like burden on my shoulders. Burden is not the right word, but I felt like I had to take care of him. I felt like I had to protect him, and do all these things. And life was not happy for either one of us. But we kept trying to make this work. And long story short, that relationship ended, but we were on and off again for quite some time after, because it was that like, I love you, but we don't work, but I love you, but we don't work kind of thing. And I found exercise. So I started going to the gym because that was the only way that I could I couldn't run because I had heart palpitations. But I was like, I need to do something that I can like burn out this stress and not take it home and fight with him or fight with my family or fight with my friends. In the end, we never parted, and it was for the best for both of us. But fitness was something that I wrote on my list, that when I find my husband or partner, I want someone that is interested in, that's not going to be jealous if I go to the gym or do things like that, that supports that I like doing healthy things, because that was my way of just releasing pent up negative energy. And then I dated someone else for a while, and it wasn't fitting with me. And someone said to me, like, what would you want in a person? So I too went on eHarmony. I was like, this is horrible. I'm like, I don't want this. And I wrote down I wanted a really big family. So my parents, both of them, came from a big family. And we always had weekends and big family celebrations where it was all the cousins and kids and aunts and uncles. And I loved that. I loved being surrounded by family. And I'd always loved the name Lily. And so I was like, I was like, I'm going to name my kid Lily, or maybe that will be a middle name or something. And I just wrote down a list of things that I would desire in someone. I'm like, this is never going to happen, but I'm going to write it down anyway. And oddly enough, my husband walked into my office and he started asking questions, like just about insurance, because I sold insurance at that time. And it wasn't until a little bit later, but I was like, you checked off everything on my list. Like, you like to work out. You believe in the constitutive marriage. You believe in love. You believe in all the things. And his daughter's name was Lily. So he has three daughters from a previous marriage. But
That's so cool.
When he said, like, this is my daughter, Lily, I was like, this was actually something I wrote down. And it's funny, I interviewed Brian Proctor, and he said the same thing. When he was trying to manifest his wife, he wrote down a checklist, and he would add and remove things if it didn't really sit well with him, but he had his list and he manifested his wife. But it wasn't until a little bit later that some of those things clicked in. But I see some of the synchronicities of just how you can write down the things that you want. And you think, like, this is crazy to think that I could ever have this person. And the universe conspires to bring this person into your life. I would have never imagined, because we had a very strict, like, you don't date clients or anything. And I remember, like, I went to my boss and I was like, this gentleman keeps asking me.
Oh, he was a client of yours?
Yes.
Oh, okay. For whatever reason, I was thinking, okay, gotcha.
So, but I said to my boss, I'm like, before I actually go out on a date, I said, I need your permission. Like I said, I don't want to break any rules. And he said, if you're going to go out on a date, he said, all the files now need to be transferred to someone else in the office. You can't deal with any of the files. I was like, okay, good. Okay, that's fine. I had no idea I was going to marry this man. And I honestly said to him on our first date, I was like, this feels awkward. I'm like, because I know you from a business point first versus, just someone that I met on, like, however you meet. And he's like, so what does that mean? And I was like, well, you can't call me and ask me any insurance questions. I can't do it. Like, you're going to be transferred to someone else. And he's like, that's fine. But like, we've been, at the end of this month, we'll have been married for 11 years. And we have built such a crazy, beautiful life together. And it's mindset and manifestations. And it again, it's that journaling that you go back and you connect the dots. I see decisions and patterns that I did in previous dating, jobs that I took, but it was workouts that allowed my mind, especially on a fertility journey, like to focus my mind. And I was like, this is where I can safely push my body to different limits and release energy. But it's also the time for me that a lot of intuitive hits come. Like I was working out when the name of my podcast came, and I was like, stop, press pause on this workout. Exactly. I got to write this down.
That's what I was thinking. I was, well, get over there.
Yeah, just different things. And it's also where I thought I can have faith if I can, work out my body, if I can do different things. And it really was that committed decision because yes, all of us have built many half bridges. Because when I first started working out, my stepdaughters were home and I felt embarrassed because I had a twin pregnancy and I was like, I'm now trying to work out in my house and like they're around me. And they hadn't really seen me work out since before I had started my very first fertility journey. Because at that point, my doctor was like, no, don't work out. If you need to move your body, like go for work, like go for walks and things like that, but like no heavy working out or no anything like that. And that was my very first fertility journey. And I really do believe I manifested my twins. And that's when I had started learning about The Secret or the law of attraction and things like that. And I applied all of those like rules. But when in my secondary fertility journey, I was working out consistently. And it was one of those things that I was like, I love doing this. Like, I love just, I'm not focused on a certain size or a certain anything. I am just focused on this is my time that my mind can just be completely free. And so many things happen that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's a healthy thing. But that is like that in itself, like my husband got into working out more frequently and doing things like that as well. And he was very busy into working out when his first marriage was ending and things like that. He was like, that's how he got his energy out. And that was one of the conversations that we had is like, this is our form of getting rid of negative energy so we don't bring it home to each other, which is a whole different tangent. But I love how similar things have happened in our lives and just writing down the things that you want. And here they are. And years later, you're still incredibly happy and seeing how you can just keep growing and keep evolving and keep learning, and understanding your thoughts, understanding your habits, understanding things and knowing that you can change them. And it's never too late to change them. Because I can honestly say, like in my fertility business with my clients, like so many women are, like they say to me, like, I'm on a biological clock, like my clock is ticking. And I'm like, change that perspective because you get to manifest what you want. You're never too old. You're never too late. There is, documents around the world of miracles happening, but you really never know how incidents can unfold, like, working out and you found Hillary and it just, how the universe conspires to give you the things that you need to make things work. And how journaling is absolutely incredible because that's how you can start to uncover your patterns or your negative thoughts or the thoughts that, like, well, maybe I'll just start working out after Christmas or after Easter, or maybe I'll do this, then that. And a lot of people I see, like even, they just say, well, when I'm retired, then I can start traveling, or when this, then that. And it's like, start enjoying your life now. And that's a lot of things that I talk about my fertility, like clients as well. I'm like, yes, when you have your baby, life is going to be exciting, but there's a whole lot of craziness that comes with having a baby too. So start enjoying your life now and build your relationship with your partner, build everything, travel, do the things. And if money's if money is not in abundance for you right now, then find people that will teach you how to do these things to manifest money or to travel. Like there's many ways that you can be, adventurous that doesn't cost a lot of money, but start feeling the joy now and the gratitude now. And focusing on what you want. Because when someone said to me, like, do you want to manifest? When I was telling them, like, I'm trying to manifest my baby, my last baby, they said to me, like, do you know the sex of the baby that you want to have? And I said, yes, I'm very specific. I said, I would absolutely completely fine with a healthy baby, but I'm like, I want a blonde hair, blue-eyed baby boy. And they're just like, why are you so specific? And I said, because in truth, I said, I have 3 stepdaughters, and I said, I have twins, a boy and a girl. I said, I would love an extra little boy in the house. And I said, like, blonde hair, blue eyes is just something that I think would be amazing, because all of our kids, their eyes are like more hazel or more brown. And I'm like, I want them to have, his dad's eyes nice and bright and blue. And yeah, just
You went to Universe Prime and placed your order.
And I did. I have a blonde hair, blue eyed baby boy who is the sweetest little thing ever. But when people are like, they ask me, why are you so specific? And I said, because you're allowed to be. You are allowed to be as specific as you want when you're manifesting a partner or you're manifesting a baby. I wanted to share something from Joe Dispenza, and I don't quote me exactly. It was either from the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, or it was something I watched from him on YouTube. I really do like Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's very science-based. And I just like how he has taken science and proved how your mindset and manifestation is absolutely beyond incredible and incredibly powerful. So what I did want to share is the story that he shares about his daughter. So his daughter wanted to go to Italy for 6 weeks. She had very specific places that she wanted to travel to. And so he told her, like, spend time visualizing, spend time feeling excited about what it is that you want to go and see yourself being in all of these places. And this is how the Universe Prime works. You place your order of exactly what it is that you want. And here's the thing, here's the catch sometimes, is that it can dangle some things in front of you. So all of a sudden, there was either her school or something, I don't remember all the details specifically, but she found a way that she could save $4,000 on this trip to Italy if she either went with school or with a group or something. And it was Dispenza that said to his daughter, he said, but that's not exactly what you wanted. And she said, well, I'm going to Italy and it's cheaper. And he said, no, you need to stick with your order. You need to stick with what it is that you want. Continue feeling that feeling of you going to Italy. Continue feeling, the excitedness, the gratitude, keep seeing yourself in all of these places. And he said, this or better will come from, the order that you placed with the Universe Prime. And it was a couple weeks later that a job opportunity came that was presented to her that she could teach English as a second language in Italy in the exact specific places that she wanted to go. So not only was her trip going to be paid for and get paid for it and be able to spend more than 6 weeks in Italy and go to all of the exact, touristy spots and other spots that she had. And she had more than enough free time to travel and do the things that she wanted as well. And that is the part that I think is incredible, because often when we go and, we say, this is exactly what we want, we go back and we settle because something has, like the universe dangled something in front of us saying, hey, this is kind of what you want. This is along the lines. And we're like, okay, yes, we're going to take that. Not every single person continues on that journey of saying, you know what, this sounds exciting, or takes it as, a sign or something saying, hey, you know what? The universe is conspiring to give me the things that I want, but this isn't exactly it. So I'm going to pass this time. And And that is the beautiful becoming awareness and all of those things that we teach in mindset and manifestation, and that we learn about in mindset and manifestation. But that was something I use this scenario all the time with my clients. I use this scenario quite often with my husband, especially in his catering business, when he's quoting something or he's looking at expanding or whatever it is that he's doing. The last year and a half, this quote, I can't tell you how many times I've referenced just this little scenario and asking him and my clients, is this really what you want? If this is, absolutely proceed first. But it goes back to you, Perry, when you you placed your eHarmony, and you didn't get any hits. You reached out to them and they said, well, take some things away. And you're like, that's not what I want though. And I don't want to settle, especially when this is a relationship. And if you're trying to manifest a family or your baby or manifest anything in life for that matter, when you go and you settle, you're not going to get exactly what you want. And that in turn will have a different outcome as well. And, we can choose to find gratitude in all of this, but I think it's so important to understand of staying so true to what it is that you want. And it brings me back to my moment of when, people said to me, why are you so specific of what you want with your baby? Well, I knew that I wanted to have another boy. Absolutely. I would have been totally fine with a healthy baby girl too. But I knew that that's what I wanted. And that's exactly what I put out to the universe. And no, in the IVF world, at least here in Canada, you don't get to choose your gender by any means. But I placed my order to the universe prime. And that's exactly what I got. I think it's amazing to truly just connect with what it is that you want. And so often people don't connect with the things that they want because they think, well, I can't have it, or I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Manifesting doesn't work. It's too woo-woo, all the list of things. And it blows my mind how many times I've seen manifestations come to life from people that they had no idea how it was going to happen. They just said, I'm writing out my list to the universe and placing my order. And it comes. Sometimes it's a day, a week, minutes. Sometimes it's a couple years. But when you stay focused on what it is that you want and you stay true to the things, whether it's working out or using your mindset and understanding that you're always manifesting, you can start to see things in a different light. So
yeah, so true. I did that journaling activity, but what journaling wasn't part of my ritual. I think I just did it for the few weeks that it was that, and then I kind of well, that's all good. But it was a big lesson, and now I journal every day. And one of the things I do put down is I act in the assumption that the wish is fulfilled. That I've reached my goal. That what I put out there for the order, I'm going about as if it's happened. And if it hasn't shown up right there, and it's like I've stepped on the scale and the 10 pounds has come off or whatever it is. You know what? I look at it and I'm like, I've got calm expectancy. So I'm just going. And a lot of times I'm unmoved by circumstance. That's kind of a big thing that I'm constantly reminding myself that it's really, really easy to turn on the news, to listen to somebody else's chatter. If I head home and I'm in an environment from where I grew up, you get the different vibes and stuff. It's like, constantly remind myself, even though the evidence might not be there in my visual range, or I can hear it, see it, smell it, taste it right now, it's here. And so I'm shifting my belief there and being pleasantly persistent. I think if you're going to stop doing the half bridge building and build your bridge all the way so that you can build other complete bridges that take you to amazing places, be persistent. Now, that also means, to myself, I'm going to be, I keep saying unchained, but it's like, I don't want to use that word, but it's just, I'm not looking at the results. Whatever the results are happening at the moment, that isn't shifting my, making a difference. I'm still moving toward my goal, whether it's health and fitness stuff, whether it's going through, and I get those intuitive hits all the time. Gosh, I could have talked about the intuitive hit on the big dog park, or the what I did with the money that we got from the funeral for my wife. That was an amazing thing too. But just exercise and being able to have those intuitive hits. But that stuff with rewiring your mind. And I think actually Joe Dispenza has a thing on Gaia called Rewired as well.
Yep.
It's for me, I know it's a work in progress, and it's a beautiful work in progress. I don't even look at it as work, but just slap a title on it. I have so much fun with it. I know that there's so much that is going to be created. And when I can reach out to somebody and mentor somebody and I see their life impacted, like I just with this material that we're talking about, I just worked with a client for 12 weeks. She came up with 6 big goals that she didn't know how she was even going to do. I mean, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 6, let's just pick one. Come on, but that was my mindset. By week 8, 4 of them are already there. I mean, it's like, wait, what? And all of a sudden she's revealing one thing after another, and it's kind of like every time we got on a call, she'll be like, you'll never guess what. Because she shifted her inside and her thinking, and then her external world started to shift, and our logical minds start to go, and we can come up with every reason why that seems woo-woo, why that seems hokey, why that won't work for me. And you know what? When you constantly defend that and use that logic, you'll be right. Boy, I mean, that'll work in your favor to keep the manifesting world, the stuff that you can allow and receive, you'll keep that away. So why not do a blend of it? It's like, well, this got me so far. Why not be open to another way to expand and grow? And actually, the thing that I notice is it gets thrown out there a lot, the word quantum, but it really is some major quantum leaps where instead of it just being this gradual growth, gradual expansion, all of a sudden things just start hitting that you're just like, wow, I don't know how this happened. And that's another thing, as you're getting out there and you're setting intentions and wanting to grow, it's really easy. The logical mind wants to know how, and it wants to figure out all the systematic ways that it will logically happen. And the thing is, it will probably happen in a totally unrelated way that you would have never expected. And when you're open to that, that's just even so cool. And so that's the way I've looked at things. Like, wow, I'm just scratching the surface on this stuff for myself. I won't profess to be the expert in it. I lean on, chatting with people like you, chatting with, getting in Kathleen's community, listening to Joe Dispenza, because it's about being radically honest. It's about being coachable, just allowing, and that persistent stuff, I think, is really a big thing. So if it's a health and fitness journey, just be persistent. I'm unmoved by circumstance. I know the goals are going to happen. Will they happen in 90 days? I don't care. It'd be crazy cool if they did, but if they didn't and they happen in 180 days, is that a disappointment? And then after that 180 days, there's another 180 days. So it's just this constant evolution. And so, while I think sometimes deadlines and dates and things are really cool, to create a sense of urgency in things, especially with action, because a lot of times people will spin ideas in their head and then not get into motion and take action on it. That's probably one of the big things I think I've heard people talk about when it comes to The Secret, is that could have been a really big element to mention, or at least it's like, I've got these things, and sometimes things will happen not the way that you expect them. But, when it comes to health and fitness stuff, you got to take some action. It's like 6-pack abs you aren't going to wake up tomorrow, with a magic wand effect. And even if you did, I'd ask people, if tomorrow I waved a magic wand and tomorrow you woke up in your ideal healthy self, healthy body, whatever that means to you, what would you do to keep it? What does that person think like? What does the person act like? What does that person do? So are you still using excuses? Are you still shopping the same way? Are you still doing your mindset the same way? Or, what are you looking for escape hatches?
Yeah.
Procrastinating, all those things? Probably not. So start being that person now. And so that's what I got.
That's amazing, Perry. Like, thank you so much for being on here today, because yes, I think for me, I love having conversations with other people that use mindset and manifestation. And even though people that can learn the exact same material, how we feel driven to share it with the world can be so completely different. And that's what I think is amazing, because we are all unique. We all have our own gifts, our own talents. Um, but I think just for anyone to hear how, you didn't necessarily know about mindset and manifestation when you manifested Hillary and when you did, all the things that you've done. But since studying mindset and manifestation and going back and connecting the dots, saying like, I did this. And now that I know that I had already did this without knowing what I was doing, and now that I know what I'm doing, how you can apply it and go forward and just keep growing and keep expanding. Because I truly do believe like we are meant to be living our best lives, and just eat, sleep, repeat, doing the same thing over and over every single day is not a way of living. And, I want everyone and anyone to know that like you can change everything about your world sitting in the comfort of your own home. Yes, action does have to be taken, but you can start in the easiest ways of connecting to a desire of something that you want, or writing out a laundry list of like the personality traits and things that you want in a partner, or how you want to see your life once your baby or desired family is here, or your dream job. And people don't think that they can have these things, and that's why I think it's so important for anyone listening to understand anyone in the world can manifest and use their mindset and transform everything about their lives when they choose to focus their habits or focus different things and just even start dreaming, because I know so many people just don't dream anymore. And that was one of the things that Bob Proctor talked about. He's like, when did we stop daydreaming? And we all think, well, probably like when we're kids, because you go to class and you're not allowed to daydream in class. You're supposed to sit there, take the notes, do the things. And
I broke that rule. I still daydream. Man.
Yeah, I do. I think I stopped daydreaming for a long time, but then I was like, why? I want to daydream. I want to do different things. Like something I wanted when I was a kid, I wanted to be an author. I'd write these little short stories. And then as my teen years and, self-image and things came in, I was like, oh no, I'll never be a writer. That's okay. I co-authored a book, and how that manifested just, we were in a mastermind, and one of the ladies just said like, do you want to co-author a book? I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Something that I wanted when I was little that I never thought I would have manifested later. And, I always had a desire for wanting to help people. I had no idea how that would happen. Every single one of my jobs that I've always had has always been customer service based. And then when I had my twins and I became a stay-at-home mom, I thought like, I still want to help people, but how do I help people that gives me the flexibility to be with my children when I need to be, and things like that. And, finding different courses and studying law of attraction and then getting my certifications and things like that. I thought, this is exactly it. I get to help people from the comfort of my own home and leave such a meaningful impact. And it fills my heart with immense gratitude. But 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if you would have asked me would I be doing these things, I'd be like, no. But it really does start with connecting to things that would like just, if time, money was no object, what would you do? What would you do? So if you could step into your perfect body tomorrow, how would that look and feel? What would you do differently? that you can start doing right now. Why do you have to have the perfect body or, the perfect dream home or the amount of income? Start doing it now and then watch the bridge of incidents unfold. And you see like, oh my gosh, I really am starting to live this dream life. And I didn't think it was possible, but I just started doing things and, it happens. So, yeah.
Greatly worded, and yes, so true. That's thanks so much for sharing, recapping that, because that's a big part of it. It's just that dreaming, and there's so many really cool tools out there that you can use, but you can keep it simple. Using visualization. I even go back to, I don't know if you've ever read The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. He had this little ritual called Savers, which was sitting in silence, doing some affirmations, some visualization, what do you else have in there? Exercise and some reading and writing and doing some writing stuff. And I know I didn't say the acronym correctly there. He calls it scribing. If for those of you that are going, wait a minute, that doesn't make Savers. But when I started, like, I'm going to adopt what Hal was doing, so sometimes success leaves clues, and it's really, really cool. And it's really, really easy for old, I want to say old thinking, but just patterns that we've grown up with to quickly dismiss things. That won't work for me. That's woo woo. That's all this stuff. And that's, that's fine. But when you want to have big things, you're like, gosh, I'm open to giving this thing a try. Like with my exercise stuff, I'm open to doing this, and I'm going to change my approach on how I do it and change my thinking. Same way with just some of these, as Bob Proctor calls it, using your higher faculties versus looking at the five senses and what the world that's going around you. I never thought of it that way. But when you start tapping into those resources that we have right there in your mind, I mean, you do not have to go out and go shopping on Amazon for it. You just start putting it into practice and doing these things. Some amazing things can start happening. And in time, as you repeat, I mean, repetition, just like with exercise. Well, I'm not just doing 2 push-ups still. Over time, over 20 years, now I'm not saying I'm doing 200s in a session, whatever, but I will say that I've gotten stronger, that doing 2 push-ups is no problemo. So, but it does take repetition to do some of these things. And it's just having that desire and that will to go after what it is in your mind, and to really be aware when you start to say, that won't work for me, or I can't do that, or but what if, all that stuff. That's a beautiful awareness, because a lot of us, we do it without being aware of it, and we want to defend it. When you're aware of it, and if you can stop and pivot, and here's the way I do it. I'll just say, ooh, there's an old story, edit, undo. I'm kind of like word processor, I mistype something and I can quickly correct it, or I'll say, cancel that. That's just an old story. And while that sounds maybe silly, it's basically a reminder to me that I'm catching myself in a story that is not moving me toward my goal. And it just came up because I got really good at that thinking for so many years. And I could defend it really, really well, because I could defend, I hate vegetables. I could defend that but now I love vegetables. So I defend it. I'm not a morning person forever. I work from home. I can get up whenever I want. Still get up at 5:30. I do an empowerment ritual. Who is this crazy wild person that does this now? You're in your retirement years, Perry. No, there's no retirement. That's next chapter. What's next? What's going on? Let's go. So just be aware of those things as you're thinking and as you're listening to this and the stories start to spin. Because I love it. I love when those stories come up, because I'm like, there it is. And I can do something about it.
Amazing. It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I feel like we could probably chat for hours and hours and hours. But this has just been so exciting to chat with you, and for you to share such amazing insight And yeah, I just want to say thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on. It's such an honor for me. And I just lit up when you said, hey, let's do a podcast. So I'm like, really, really cool.
Awesome. Well, have an amazing day.
Yeah. Everybody have an amazing day out there.
If you found this helpful or know anyone that needs to hear this, please share. And don't forget to